Hey, Love Tribers. Peace. So, one of the Love Tribers had a question for me, and I'm just going to read it to you. She says, Leslie, please share how you keep so fit. How many calories do you intake a day, and how much cardio? I think that would be a great motivator. Thank you for asking. And I am going to share that with you today, but I did want to just say I do not consider myself an expert on fitness. As a matter of fact, I don't really go to the gym. I do not lift heavy weights, and it's not because I have anything against people that do that, because I think it's great. I think if you're going to the gym and you're building muscle at the gym and working out with heavy weights, that's a great thing to do. But I do not like the gym. I don't really enjoy being in the gym, so that's not something that I do. So, but I have learned some things along my way that I think have really helped me be as fit as I can be, and I thought that I would share those things, and maybe they can help you out. So, I'm 52 years old, and I've already gone through menopause, and I'm basically the same weight and about the same size that I was in college. And my weight really hasn't fluctuated much from there. Maybe the most would be 5 times. I mean, 5 pound, 5 times, 5 pounds heavier, or maybe 5 pounds lighter. But overall, I've really pretty much stuck at the same weight, and that is at about 104 to 106 pounds. And I am 5 feet 4 inches tall. So for my adult life, this has been my weight. And one of the questions she asked was about how many calories do you eat a day. And I can honestly say that I have no idea. As a matter of fact, I'll just share a story with you. Um, Back when I was in college, I was having breakfast with one of my friends, and at that time, I think that morning I was having probably several bowls of cereal. I had a couple of pieces of toast and a banana, and probably a couple of glasses of orange juice. It was probably orange juice at the time. And so that's what I was having for breakfast. And she said to me, she said, Leslie, you really can't keep eating that much food, as if you do, you're going to get fat. And that really struck me. So, because I had really, up until then, I had not really even ever thought about getting fat. It never occurred to me, and I was very thin. And she told me that she only was eating about 1,200 calories a day, and so I started noticing, and when I was hanging out with friends, I started noticing how they would talk about certain foods and not eating foods because they didn't want to get fat, or certain foods making them fat. And so I started paying attention to my calories, and I really tried to count my calories. And in that time, when I was counting calories and worried about food making me fat, I was very miserable. And I didn't do well at it at all. So, because usually I was eating 1,200 calories probably before lunch or by lunch, I can't remember exactly, but I found it very, very hard to eat that few calories. And what I found that happened is if I ate more than that, then I was feeling bad about myself, and feeling like I was getting fat. And whether I was or not, I was feeling fat. And then when I did stick to the calorie restriction, I was I was cranky, and I was undercarbed, and I was obsessing about food a lot. So a lot of my energy and a lot of my mind space was filled up with thinking about food and counting calories. And luckily, it wasn't long after that that I was hanging out with some friends of mine. There were some guys, and we were bouldering. We were doing some climbing and some mountain biking together. And I started to notice that when we would go out to eat together, I noticed that they never, when they were eating, they never mentioned that food was going to make them fat. And I had this little kind of click go off in my mind, and I started noticing that really our thoughts about food were really more powerful than the food itself. So I started to reverse that whole thinking, and I let go of that whole idea of restricting my calories to 1,200 calories a day or something, and I just kind of started getting back to just eating food and not worrying about the calories and not giving the food that much energy. So I guess what I'm saying here is I think our thoughts about food and our feelings about the food while we're eating it and even while we're preparing it are the most important. And so, keep that in mind when you're eating. Pay attention to your thoughts. And if you're having those kinds of thoughts and you're starting to relate to food as certain foods being bad for you or fattening, it's important to think. And that doesn't mean that some foods are not unhealthy. As a matter of fact, while we're talking about this sort of thing, I also want to say that for the most part, I was young. I was very young when I really started wanting to eat to live and eat to be healthy, and so I was always conscious in trying to eat foods that were healthy. And I think of everything in terms of energy. And that's why I like eating a vegan diet. So Love Tribe 21-day vegan challenge. Everything is energy. And when I'm eating strawberries or bananas and other fruits and vegetables, I'm just thinking about how, those fruits and vegetables were just out soaking in the rays of the sun. So when I'm eating them, I just feel like I'm drawing life energy and just sunlight and all that energy into my body. And it's one of the reasons why I'm vegan. I love the animals, and I think that the animals have every right to live, and that we really have no right to their lives other than to help protect them and to try to look after them. And I feel like that is our responsibility to them. But a lot of the animal products out there, when you're consuming that, you are consuming a lot of pain and suffering, because energy can't die. So when you eat these animals that have lived very, very sad lives and painful deaths, and they've been abused and tortured, you're taking on all of that fear and that pain and that suffering. That energy never really dies, so it's transferred into your body. And I do believe that having a vegan diet definitely helps. So in addition to that, I would say that it's also important to start eating more and more fruits and eat until you're full. And that's pretty much what I do, is I eat till I'm full, and then I try to, of course, stop eating. So there's no overeating. And then as far as fitness goes and those types of things, I love yoga, and I've been practicing and teaching yoga since I started practicing sometime in my 20s, my late 20s, and then when I was around 30 is when I started teaching yoga. So I like to practice yoga every day, and some days I do not have time for an extended practice, but I'll at least do, say, 10 minutes of yoga every day. So I think that one of the keys to staying fit is to just find some sort of activity that you enjoy, that you love doing, that really lights you up. So if you don't already know what that is, maybe go to a yoga class or go to a Tai Chi class, or, go to some type of a dance class, and just see see what it is that you enjoy, or go lift some weights, or go to the gym and do some weightlifting classes, and find something that you really look forward to doing, and then do a little bit every day. And then the days that you miss, don't beat yourself up about it. Just look forward to the next time you have an opportunity. For me, it's yoga. I really love yoga. The question was, how much cardio do I do? And I do not do a lot of cardio on a regular basis, but I do walk my dogs, and so I get walks in at least a few days a week. And the walks are for my dogs, so they're not long walks, um, or not fast walks. They're probably about 3 miles long, but they're not super fast walks. And then I love to practice yoga, and like I said, I try to just do a little bit every day. And if there's days that I don't have time for an extended practice, I try to do just a little bit. And again, when I miss, I try not to dwell on it, or think that I'm gonna be fat because I didn't do any activity. I just try to be consistent. And then a couple of years ago, I started taking some Pure Barre classes for a little more toning. And if you're not familiar with Pure Barre or barre classes, it's basically just movements that are kind of derived from ballet or Pilates. So um, they're kind of more of a mind-body connection activity, and I encourage you to find an activity that's more mind-body related. And then when I'm at the beach, I love to ride my bike. But again, all these activities that I do, I just do it because I enjoy them. And so the emphasis is more just on the joy of doing it and the process of doing, and not so much for a final outcome or looking a certain way. And that reminds me of just another aspect that I think that helps keep me fit, and that is that when I was younger, I was always thin, and especially in high school, really really thin, and I was actually teased about my weight. I remember somebody telling me that I was so skinny I had to jump around in the shower to get wet. And when I was younger, I really wanted to have more curves. I wanted to have more weight. And I found that as I started doing yoga, as I got into yoga, I really started to look at my body a different way. I just started to have more appreciation just for having a healthy body, and appreciating what my body could do, and just loving my body and finding acceptance in my body. So I think it's really important to just love yourself. And all body sizes are really beautiful, especially when you're taking care of it. So I think that the main thing is to take good care of your body, get it moving, find activities that you really love to do, and do them regularly, and start to feed yourself healthy foods. And of course, I encourage the vegan diet. Most of the Love Trivers are on the vegan diet, but I encourage a vegan diet, and just filling yourself up with healthy, organic fruits and vegetables, and just starting to learn what works for you. Over the years, I've always loved carbs, so I just have always tended to eat a high carb, fairly low fat diet. And being vegan now for most of my life, I've had periods of being vegetarian and periods of being off, and now I've been a vegan for, gosh, probably close to 10 years or something like that. And I think in doing so, I've just found that fruits are really a great food for me. So I eat fruits throughout the day typically, and those are what give me the energy to go out and do the things that I love and to stay active. But I also eat, of course, lots of veggies, and I also eat rice and potatoes, And anybody that knows me knows that I love dark chocolate, and I eat dark chocolate almost every day. And only limit it just to avoid too many refined sugars. So I try to look for dark chocolates that don't contain um, as much sugar. So the main thing I want to look after is some of that sugar. So anyway, that's about it. And I hope that some of this helps you. I'd love to hear what you think. Much appreciation for all you love tribers. Stay grateful, stay joyful, stay playful, and keep raising your vibe. Peace.